Okay, predictably, I did not get the next John lesson done. I could have. So let me just say this. I could have got it done. But in my reading on my own time, I read a chapter that I was just like, I really need to share this. I feel like I really, really was blessed by it. And so I want to pass it on to you. And so the name of the sermon is going to be Purpose in the Wilderness. And our main passage is going to be Deuteronomy chapter 8. That's what we're going to cover. I believe there's 20 verses. It might be 21. But we're going to just cover Deuteronomy 8. And I hope that this ministers to you, the way it ministered to me. And leading up to Deuteronomy 8, I feel like I want to just state some theological truths just about God. And I think the first one, the one I really want to highlight going into Deuteronomy 8 is the truth that God is like supremely sovereign over every single thing in the entire universe. He rules over it all. He created all things. He sustains all things. His plan of salvation to sum up all things in Christ and display his glory to the universe, like that began in eternity past. Nothing catches God by surprise. There's not anything that happens, good or evil, that's outside of his control. Your salvation was predestined. He chose you for salvation before you chose him. You did choose him. That was a real choice, but just wasn't the deepest cause of your salvation. He chose you first. And he didn't just choose you. He chose the path of your life. Ephesians 2:10 says God prepared good works in advance for you to walk in. Before you were ever created, God, you do have a destiny. Like you see that a lot even in movies or something like that, or sometimes in sports. Oh, we're destined to win, or people have this sense of destiny. Like they're not wrong about that. Like everybody has this, and it's from God. There's a divinely ordained purpose to your life. And part of what's ordained for you is also suffering. Philippians 1:29 says it has been granted to us not only to have salvation, but also to suffer with Christ. That's part of what God has granted you. Judas wasn't a mistake or an accident. There's no cross without Judas. What happened in Paul? We've been looking at it Wednesday nights, going through Philippians, all that stuff in Acts that we saw, chasing Paul place to place. None of that stuff was an accident. God was behind it all. Now, that does not mean God approves of every sinful decision or action or word that takes place. He doesn't. And God's not committing sin. But God is not also just passively sitting by, allowing things, resigning everything to the free will of man. I'm not denying we have a will, but God's just a lot more active in things than I think we want to realize. He's super active in stuff. Whoops. He's super active in everything, good and bad. And he does it in a way where he's not committing any sin, nor does he approve of sin. I don't know how to explain every mystery of that. I just know what it's not. He's not just passively saying, here, let me create everything. Okay, it's handed over to the free will of man. Gosh, I sure hope they make the right choice. If that's what we were handed over to, nobody would get saved. I mean, ever. We're so bad. We're so hardened in evil. We would never, ever, left to our own, choose God. It would never happen. There has to be something happening to us first. I would argue, liberating our will. Where we can actually choose God and actually choose good, because we're too evil. We would never do it left to ourselves. You wouldn't do it, not one day in your life, and neither would I. Happy Sunday. We wouldn't. And so by God's grace and his sovereign plan, we are in Christ. And by God's grace and his sovereign plan, we follow him. And yes, we make real choices and decisions. And God doesn't approve of every decision we make, for sure. And he will deal with us and discipline us with those sinful decisions that we make. And he will be pleased with the right ones we make. But through it all, there's this like sovereign power he has towards us, keeping us on the narrow path that he has for us. And so anyways, we're going to study today in Deuteronomy 8, God talking about life in the wilderness. And as we go into it and we think about life in the wilderness, it's really important. God is sovereign over every scorpion in the wilderness, and they're all appointed for us. And we'll see what the purposes of God are. So all the good, I just think some people think the good things in life are from God and the bad things in life are from Satan. And I'm like, God's supreme over all of it. And Satan is involved in bad things. That's true. But it's not because he got the upper hand on God for a minute, or God's just sitting there, God's just sitting there helpless. You guys remember in the book of Job, what did Satan have to do anything to Job? Do you remember what he had to do first?
He had to go to God and ask God if he could do it.
Okay, yeah, he had to get permission from God. And then when all of the evil happened to Job, Job said, shall we accept good from the Lord and not evil to his wife? And he said, the Lord gave and the Lord took away. Well, who was doing it?
The Lord.
Okay, who else was doing it? Satan. You remember what happened to Job, right? The army or whatever came over and killed his servants. Who did it? Was it God? Was it Satan? Or was it the army? Yes. Remember when the wind blew and collapsed the house and killed his kid? Was it God, Satan, or nature?
Nature.
No. I mean, yes, but incomplete. It was all three. God, Satan, nature. The boils. God, Satan, or nature?
Well, that was Satan.
It's all three in every one. There is Job's suffering is really, you can see the levels to suffering. There were human decisions. There's natural causes. There's spiritual power of darkness in Satan, and there's God behind it. Now you remember when Job looked at all of his sufferings, you could just go read the first 3 chapters of Job. When Job looked at all his sufferings, he said, the Lord gave and the Lord took away. Shall we accept good from the Lord and not evil? He told his wife. That's what he's saying. He didn't say this was Satan. It would have been wrong if he said it. But he didn't say, oh man, the Sabaeans or whatever, the people who came over and killed our people, or the wind, man, we didn't get a weather report today. I wish we'd have known. I should have built a storm shelter or something like that. Like, he didn't say any of that. Job understood at the deepest level, the reason things were happening to him was God. The Lord gave, the Lord took away. Now you might object and